I have public affairs analyst now, Mustafa Ewela, joining me now as we look at the rise in food inflation in the country. Thanks for joining us on Business Insight.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Okay, first of all, it's the Christmas season, and you know how food becomes very, very expensive. Specifically, let me ask you the normal question people ask: how far you don't buy rice this season?
Of course, the answer to that question is a no. Because all of us are witness to what's going on in the economy. To buy a bag of rice now is like you're almost cutting off your neck. So
it's way over 100K.
It's a very serious luxury right now to buy a bag of rice. So
it's even going to get worse because experts are saying that their food inflation rate would likely get to about 40% from what it was in November, which was about 39. So what are your thoughts really? Because over time, we've been talking about this issue, and the federal government has talked about policies and distributing grains from the national reserves and everything. Yet, the staples are still getting higher and higher by the day. What are we failing to see? What are we not doing right?
So I recall clearly that we had this conversation sometimes during the year.
True.
Talking about this same food inflation and the predictions from National Bureau of Statistics that by December it's going to hit 40% is very accurate. In October this year, just a few months ago, food inflation rate was about 39.16%. In November, it moved up to like 39.93%, which is almost by 0.77 basis point. So you see that with the predictions that it will hit, in my opinion, I even think that it might even be higher than 40%. Yeah, because of the festive seasons and a lot of global and domestic factors. If you look at I think one of the biggest issues that has gotten us to where we are now with our food inflation is that even our general inflation too currently now is about 34.6%. Now, if you look at the the depreciation in our exchange rates, our naira keeps falling every other time, month to month. It keeps falling, and most of this equipment being used to produce by local farmers are being imported, are being bought with dollars. The fertilizers are imported, the machineries are imported, even the seeds most times are imported. So if you look at that, for any sane farmer who wants to make profits, he knows that his production cost, the sales cost must be more than the production cost because he wants to make profits and he wants to stay in business. And if you also look at another very critical issue is our population growth. Our population is rising every day, and our production in terms of the local farmers and everything is not increasing because farmers are not enabled to have all the tools they need to produce. Another very important thing I think is also a problem is the climate change and also poor harvest.
Okay, but before we get into all those specifics, let me take it from where you mentioned, which is the cost of the inputs, the fertilizer and everything.
Yeah,
One would have thought that all of these things can be produced locally. These are things that I feel are normal that we can do. We don't really have to go over the countries to get them, because at the end of the day, we are trying to spend foreign exchange to bring in these things that we can do by ourselves. Why are we not looking inwards to manufacture or to produce these raw materials for our farmers?
So the reasons for that is not far-fetched. If you look at a lot of factors, for example, the fertilizers being used to germinate these crops, a lot of them are imported. So it's very difficult for individual farmers to have all these things in place because of the very, very tough economy we find ourselves. So for a farmer that wants to go into production of rice, for example, or growing of rice, he needs to get the grains, he needs to get the proper fertilizers to make them grow properly, even putting into discussion our climate here. So without those fertilizers, it might be difficult to get those rice germinate properly. So a lot of all these imported fertilizers are very effective because over there they are used to growing their crops in not organic way. They are used to using fertilizers to grow anything. If you even want to look at the quality of animals being reared over there, you see that they have better quality than the ones being reared. I was in the UK one time. I saw a cow. It was looking like a bull.
That's arguable because at the end of the day, what they fed, they are fed.
What they feed on are more nourished than what.
Well, because I feel those ones, they have more chemical compounds compared to the homegrown one that are really very organic, that eats homegrown grasses and everything.
So let me tell you. So the homegrown cows or animals. Now, if you look at the pattern of rearing animals in Nigeria, you will see one Fulani guy taking the cows all around the street, eating junks, eating from the eating bushes and all that. You don't get to see Fulani guys taking cows all over the streets in America or in the UK or in Canada. They have a place where they graze them properly, and they have been fed something very quality that makes them grow well. So again, I just feel that everything that makes life easy for the farmers are not in place here. That's why it's looking like the supply is short. The supply is short, and if you also want to look at even the supply chain is also disrupted a lot of times. The issue of insecurity when farmers cannot even move goods effectively from one spot to another. So for a farmer who has produced cassava probably in Delta State now and wants to transport to Lagos, before he gets to Lagos, the cost of transportation, even the cost of not even having to go through any security issues on the road, because there are some unscrupulous people by the roadside trying to scuffle these people and rob them of their goods and everything. So it's just so many problems that like I said, is domestic in terms of the factors that led us to where we are today. We have the domestic factors and the global factors. So the global factors are the dollars, the naira, the exchange rate. Those are issues. But I think that with the goodwill of the government and the political will, these things we're able to address this.
Speaking of political will, because a whole lot of times there have been several programs on the part of government, Operation Feed the Nation, the Green Revolution. Even the other day, the First Lady, came out and was saying the vegetables that she had to propagate in her farm, over in the space of about 3 months, that she had lots of vegetables to eat. So even if I have to take it from there, do you think if we go back to subsistence farming, that it will actually help us if everyone started growing what they would eat, or some of the things they would eat in their backyard or in their gardens, that it would go? How far would that go?
So the honest truth is that I don't think that is going to serve us, generally. That's only for a short time, for your immediate family and all that. But for the country to be able to have enough food to go around, because naturally in economics, if production cost is high, if demand is high and there's no production to cater for those demands, the prices will go up.
Of course.
And that is what is happening now. So there's too many demands but no production. So how many farmers do we even have? The few farmers we have right now, they are frustrated. They go to banks to get loan at what rates? Most of these things are not done with individual money. It's done with loans from banks or grants or stuff. So it's difficult. So I just think that the government needs to make that sector very, very viable for farmers. That's why if you see people now that tells you that they are farmers, you wonder how they are even making any profits. So that's why this whole problem is trickling down. That's why a bag of rice this month you hear 70,000, next month you hear 90,000. So it's not stable. And a lot of the food we eat in Nigeria is dependent on rice. Rice, you do white rice, you do jollof rice, you do fried, everything is rice. So a lot of these things. I just think that we need to take a cue from advanced countries and how are they doing it, what template are they using to have a stable economy in terms of this food security. Food security is important. If the government fails on delivering on food security, automatically they are also going to fail on general insecurity within the country, because an hungry man that is hungry will be in social vices to go and start committing crime because he wants to eat. Okay,
so food inflation actually varied across states, because I'm looking at the states now they mentioned that these are like most of them fall around the middle belt, like Bauchi, Benue rather 28.8%, which is regarded as the food basket. There's Katsina with 29, Anambra, then Kebbi 42, and Bauchi actually had the highest rate, about 46.21. And if you look at it, some of the states are the ones that usually have communal clash, like in Benue and some part of the northeast where they have this issue of insecurity. You mentioned rightly that for us to stem this in the bud, we have to tackle the issue of insecurity and the issue of transportation. But then this has been for like a while. Each time the government tells us, or the military comes out and say that they've been able to decimate Boko Haram and the insecurity, but another time they have a new one now that is ongoing there in the northeast. I'm trying to remember the name. There's a name for it, but it will come back to me. So my question right now is that do you see a light at the end of this tunnel? Because from what it is, the issue of insecurity has been on for way over 10 years, and as it is not going to be abated anytime soon. So what do we really do going forward as regards the insecurity challenge that we have in the country?
So quite frankly, I must say that this current government is doing so much to reduce the insecurity issues we have around the country, quite frankly. In the past couple of weeks, we haven't seen or read about any insurgency cases, if you really want to agree with me. We haven't seen or read about a lot of herdsmen clashes and all that in the past couple of months.
Okay.
I think that's drastic.
But that would have actually translated to better food security.
The translation is not going to be almost immediately.
Okay.
Because for the process of growing any crops, it takes an amount of time for you to grow, nurture and harvest, you know what I mean? So it's not just immediately. So I think with this current government, I think that there's a pinch of light at the end of the tunnel. I think so. But I hope that they can keep up with this momentum so that Nigerians can begin to feel the impact of a working governance or a working president that has in his heart, the people. Because whether you like it or not, food is an essential need. Even before clothes, somebody who has not eaten will not even think about wearing clothes. Somebody who has not eaten will not even be bothered about where he wants to sleep. He just wants to eat.
True.
Just wants to eat. So, and this is the festive season. A lot of people right now, I mean, the lamentations are too much outside. People cannot even afford, a bag of rice or even a half bag of rice for their family. So I think that the government needs to understand that your number one obligation is to make sure that Nigerians enjoy, have a peaceful. Enjoy life meaningfully. Okay. Not to pay at a very high cost for everything. Someone I mean. So, and again, one of the biggest issues that is also affecting us is that some of the states that are food basket of this country that produces a lot of crops, Maiduguri and the likes. Look at what happened recently. The issue of poor climate and all that. I mean, the flooding issue that happened.
Sure.
So we also have to control the issue of flooding too. The flooding issue. Billions of naira were lost in Maiduguri to the point that people were donating funds. A lot of crops were washed away due to the flood. So the earlier we start to have a proper drainage system, so the better for us. So farmers will not wake up one day and see that all their crops that they've been nursing for months have been washed away by flood. It happened in Lagos too. It happened in different parts of the country. So we have to have a proper working drainage system all over the country where drains go properly to the right place, not to flood over houses and farmland. That's a problem. So once that happens again, it will trickle down, and there'll be nothing to bring to state like Lagos, state like Ibadan, state like there'll be no crops to take over there to supply, and the little one available within Lagos and Ibadan, the neighboring states, will go high, and that's what's happening now because there's shortage in supply, so the prices are going up.
Okay, there's been so much talk as regards this present tax regime, specifically, the one that's been causing so much debate between the North and the South. But a school of thought believes that with these tax reforms ongoing, that somehow it will affect agricultural production, and at the end of it all, we might see a bit of, some good news in that particular sector. What are your thoughts?
So again, you see, all the advanced countries that has advanced forward, that is currently working, they do so by paying by taxpayers' money. So I think the policy is a good policy, but my biggest fear is just for the policy not to be scuffled along the line. People pay tax. Let us see results for the tax we're paying. Let us see good roads. Let us have a secured community. Let us have power. So those monies should be used properly to build infrastructure.
Because the thought is that some maybe importation of equipment and machinery that will be used for this agricultural production will be less taxed or even tax free. At the end of the day, they might see a bit of translation in the terms of the cost of food items over time.
Yeah, so naturally, if the cost of production is reduced, so if farmers are giving rebates on paying a reduced amount of tax, that automatically reduces the production cost.
Okay.
So it will trickle down on the sales price. The sales price also will reduce.
Okay.
So if I'm producing this phone for 1,000 naira and the government is saying, okay, pay instead of paying 20 naira tax before, the government is saying, okay, pay 100 naira tax. Of course, it will trickle down, it will rub off on my sales price too. My sales price too will come up. And also, these things also have to be regulated.
Okay.
A lot of goods and commodity within the system right now, people sell at prices of their choice. You see somebody selling a bag of rice.
No regulated price, no market boards.
I don't know if it's manufactured.
They used to have that in the past. They used to have market boards
so
before.
Somebody is selling a bag of rice for 60,000 naira somewhere. Somebody is selling for 90,000 naira somewhere, and it's the same. So who is regulating this market?
Price control boards.
Price control. You see somebody selling a bag of beans. 35,000, 40,000, somebody is selling 100,000. Who goes after these people that are greedy, that are doubling the prices? Because whether you like it or not, there must be a body. I don't know if it's man at MAN. I don't know if somebody has to ensure that
that's FCCPC.
FCCPC. Somebody needs to go after these people that are greedy, doubling the prices, and that's why people like us, so you and I, are the ones suffering it because we're not the one producing. We just buy what we see in the market. So those are issues.
So your last word on this as we round off now.
So like I said earlier, food security is very important. So the earlier the government gets this right about food security, there must be food. Even if there's no power, no light, no water, give us food, let's eat. Then that's when we can begin to think properly as a person. That's when you can come to work and execute your duties functionally and go back home. So food is very essential and the government must pay very close attention to that sector.
A hungry man, they say, is an angry man. So it's when I have something in my stomach that I can actually be very productive. If not, I'll go about looking for trouble everywhere. I must say a very big thank you to you, Mustafa Iwela, and I hope that in no time that you and I will be able to buy our bags of rice for Christmas because there'll be so many family members waiting to come get from us. All right, so that's the size of the show for today. Mustafa Iwela, Public Affairs Analyst, has been my guest. My name is Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for being there.